tugboat locomotives move about 1 ton per horsepower. A towboat can move 4 tons of cargo for each horsepower it develops. That is the reason why modern water transportation is an inherently low-cost way to move bulk commodities. Traffic analysts conclude that cargo can be moved by water for 1/3 the cost of rail shipment and 1/13 the cost of trucking it over the highways. This fact has already made a deep impact on the economy of our whole region. Mr. Robert Woodworth, for many years a top executive of one of the world's largest grain companies, points out some advantages to farmers of water transportation.
First, water transportation rates are cheap. The rates are purely and simply lower, and improvements keep making the rates lower still. Beside the lower shipping rates, barge transportation offers money-saving fringe benefits. For one thing, we can load a barge in 2.5 hours. Time is money. Through competition, cheap water transportation can put an extra 5 or 10 cents a bushel into farmers' pockets. In fact, it is economical to truck grain from as far as eastern Colorado to the river and ship it by barge. With low-cost water transportation, Missouri Basin farmers can reach a vast grain market that hardly existed for them before the river development was begun. I'm referring to the international grain market, of course. Today, we ship millions of bushels of Missouri Basin grain down to New Orleans and other ports. Lower shipping costs on the river let us compete on the world market.
Grain goes down the river, and on the return trip, the barges haul iron and steel for local farm machinery manufacturers, tin plate for local canneries, heavy machinery and electrical equipment, molasses for cattle feed, gasoline and oil, newsprint, cement, literally dozens of commodities needed by the basin's industries and people. Mr. Woodworth makes a vital point.
It's no accident that the rate for shipping molasses for cattle feed from New Orleans into the Missouri River area has gone down 25% in the last few years. And you'll see a great many more benefits of this competition as river development continues and as river transportation builds up steam.
Transportation on the Missouri is in its infancy, although it's a lusty infant. At present, a single towboat can't handle more than 4 barges as a rule. When the 9-foot channel authorized by Congress in 1945 becomes a reality, tows of 6, 8, even 10 barges will be common, as they are today on the Mississippi and other inland waterways. Mr. Truman would like to see a 9-foot channel, and he has another idea.
Well, what I would like to do is have the channel 9 feet all the way as far up as it can go, and that's a good thing. If I could make it 34 feet, I would, and then I'd bring the battleship Missouri up here and park it right here.
Mr. John B. Gage is one of Kansas City's most distinguished civic leaders. As mayor of his city, he was one of the original supporters of the Pick Sloan Plan.
Already, most of the lands along the main stem of the Missouri are free from floods. The remaining projects, primarily along the tributaries like the Kansas River, will be completed in the foreseeable future. But we must never relax our vigilance until the entire basin is forever freed from the specter of devastating and life-taking floods. Combined with flood protection, the navigation project will open a whole new vista of industrial growth. We will have many new stretches of flood-free riverfront land available for industrial expansion. When the 9-foot channel is completed, these areas in the entire Missouri Basin will become even more valuable because rates for barge shipment will be drastically reduced.
If Jimmy Peterson were to take a trip on the Missouri, the river which will mean so much to his future, he would find that communities along the river from Yankton, South Dakota to St. Louis are building riverside facilities with great rapidity. Sioux City is entering a new era and is building for it, the age of efficient, inexpensive water transportation in a 9-foot channel all the way to the river's mouth. In Omaha and Council Bluffs, This installation for unloading salt is typical of new facilities. For example, at the Omaha Municipal Dock, the economy of mechanized materials handling further reduces the inherent low cost of water movement of bulk cargoes. More than 100 docks already dot the river's banks. With its new municipal dock, Nebraska City, a pioneer river town, has again turned to the Missouri for future growth. The river's major alfalfa loading facility is located here. Atchison is prepared to share in the river's benefits with a major grain loading facility. Leavenworth is the home of the Missouri's only shipbuilding yard, with extensive facilities for both building and repairing riverboats and barges. As you can see, it's equipped to handle sizable jobs. Port installations have been constructed for handling oil well pipe, typical of the new specialized installations being constructed, such as is this facility, where flour is pumped like a fluid into waiting barges. In the Kansas City area, the banks of the river are studded with installations which handle and transship all manner of river cargo. And between Kansas City and the Mississippi are many more docks. In fact, all the way from St. Louis here, a few miles below the mouth of the Missouri, upriver to Kansas City, to Omaha, to Sioux City. And these installations are just the precursors of the large and numerous facilities which will spring up as the channel is improved and industry and agriculture take full advantage of our great waterway. As General Woodbury puts it,
now that the 9-foot navigation channel is nearing completion, we can look forward to a steady increase in commercial and industrial development. This will be greatly encouraged by the continued construction of river terminals and other facilities using the newly developed resources of the river and its flood-protected valley.
until the 9-foot channel is in operation, barges cannot be fully loaded because they would draw too much water. A general cargo barge, which transports dry bulk commodities, is presently loaded to draw about 6 feet of water, which means 900 tons, enough to fill 15 railroad boxcars. When the channel is complete, each barge will hold 1,500 tons, the equivalent of 25 boxcars. A combination barge has tanks for liquid cargo, such as chemicals or molasses, with compartments for dry cargo, too. There has been a dynamic increase in the number of barges and in the cargo carried by water each year, an increase from 153,000 tons to nearly 3 million tons in a 10-year period. Says Mr. Woodworth.
Facing this competition, the railroads have rolled up their sleeves. They want their share of the business, and they're out to get it, which means that they're going to have to compete in costs and services to the farmer and his suppliers.
One form of competition is the cattle barge, which substitutes a gentle cruise on the river for the jolts of cattle cars being coupled. No long waits for feed and water either. In fact, these cattle continue to gain weight on their floating feedlot.